Okay, welcome, welcome. All right, just clicking some buttons. My name is Padma, and I'm just going to introduce myself before we get started. My name is Padma, and I am a body worker, massage, craniosacral, structural integration, a yoga and movement therapist, and an energy awareness facilitator. And I'm joining with my colleague Ruth so that we can have a conversation. So I'm going to first let her introduce herself, and then we'll jump into our conversation.
Well, hello, Padma. It's great to be here with you, first of all. Yes, I am a visionary, holistic, transformational coach. I am also an author and a skilled alchemist with over 25 years of experience in personal and spiritual development. I'm also the founder of the Intuitive Feminine Leadership Academy.
Yay! All right. So we wanted to thank you so much for sharing that. We wanted to have a conversation around healing as a container for our journey. So healing as the holder of this journey that we're on, this transformation that we're on, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, the path and the container.
Yes. Yes, because we can't separate body, mind, and spirit. So this is what I have discovered. This is all different parts of us. And it is a container for our journey, our healing journey.
Yeah. So even that is just an interesting idea, right? Because I have worked in the realm of touching bodies and working with bodies for a very long time, 25 years or more. And people come to me with physical pain or physical issues or frustration or disconnection with their body, whatever that is. They come in knowing that their body needs something, but it's often more than just the body, right? That the body is another pathway kind of in towards the healing. And to me, it's interesting. I was reading this one thing from Moshe Feldenkrais about the body. The mind can't exist without the body. And just the thought of that was so interesting to me. I mean, I was thinking of it in a very kind of physiological way, that you can't you can't have a brain without the body, because the body needs to provide nourishment, very physiological. But just the experience of the world is through the body. Relationships, our feelings, our senses, everything is through the body. And
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We experience the whole life through our body. From the time we are conceived, even in the womb, and it continues, and we are given all these experiences to grow. This is what I think. We have all this spiritual growth from the experiences that we have. And our mind actually creates our body. That's what I believe. Things that we think about ourselves, the patterns that we have, the things that we've taken on from maybe our parents or our teachers, these beliefs that we have about ourselves, it actually creates our body. It doesn't just create our body, it creates our illnesses as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. That our, there's also if you want to unpack it further, it's like our kind of ancestral, what we carry forward. I've been feeling that a lot lately, just in my own journey, what has happened before me and its influence on me, in my gifts, and in my challenges, right? That I feel it. I feel all of that history kind of moving through me, and this kind of trying to alchemize it and bring it into something that I can move forward and I can offer to my son in a different way.
Yes,
That I'm
definitely.
not, I don't know. It's very interesting how that moves through us, with us, and forward until we bring some awareness to it and play with
Exactly.
it.
It's this, yeah, play with it. Exactly. It's something I was writing about today, actually. What I've been seeing a lot, I mean, we women have come a long way. Definitely within the last 30, 40 years, we have come a long way in comparison what it used to be like. And we're still carrying a lot of conditioning from our parents, our mothers, our grandmothers, and their mothers. And what I'm still seeing with women, for example, is that we have this need to be there for everybody, to to try and fix them, to put our own needs on the back burner, and of course, it's a recipe for burnout,
Oh my
which
God.
I had after the birth of my third son. I was completely burnt out. Which was the start of my spiritual path, to tell you the truth. It was, gave me something, and it took me on this path and opened up such a new place in my life, which I was never a spiritual person before. And I'm seeing this with women. They're getting to this place where they realize, no, I can't do this, but it's so in us, it's in our DNA. That we are still doing it. Well, not all of us, obviously, but many, many of us are still doing it. And it's not good. And we have to get to this point of realizing it. No, this is not good to me. It has to change. I choose to change it. And then it can change.
Yeah, I totally agree with that and can relate to that. Because I think that we do, especially in the United States, right, consider ourselves, especially on the coasts, very independent, right? But there still is this, as you said, it's in us in such a cellular level that we don't even notice it, right? That we're not even aware that we're doing it. I had this, I have a brother who's disabled, and there was a period after my mother passed, where I took care of him.
Okay.
And there was this, like, I needed to step in. I mean, it was to the point where that was what was needed, but it ended up being extremely depleting. And it was hard for me to set what I could do and what I couldn't do. And then my own inner kind of expectation of how much I needed to do. It was just this interesting kind of battle within myself of knowing that I needed to stop and I needed help. And there wasn't a lot of support, but there was also this kind of inner, I have to do this, I have to fix this. And I did it just recently with my dad as well.
Mm.
I'm also in a Latin culture, so there is this. I mean, I actually see it everywhere. I never realized. I was like, women are when I hear that kind of, women are the unpaid labor force of the world. It was like, they are.
Yes.
We care for children, we care for parents,
Yeah.
and that cultural expectation, and again, that inner kind of drive to just do it. Yeah, that it takes a lot of unweaving on many levels, of retraining those around us that it's a completely unrealistic expectation, and ourselves.
Yes, that's completely true. And we usually don't see it until we get to a point where our body starts to fail.
Yes.
If something goes on with us, either it's a burnout or we become ill, and is something just, our body is just giving us this message. Can you listen to me? What's going on here? Trying to stop us. I mean, how often do we actually get a cold just to be able to lie in bed and do nothing for 1 or 2 days because we don't allow ourselves to do it? It's just so stupid when you think of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've seen that time and time again, just even people coming in with injuries, that it's like, oh, I reached for this thing. It's like, okay, you reached for that thing, and you tweaked your back and you strained a muscle and now you're out of commission, but what else is going on in your life? And that's usually the entryway into
Yes,
kind of unpacking what else is happening and how it's taken them out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The body mind connection is so strong. I mean, I had a friend who was bedridden with extremely painful arthritis for years. And this is a guy who very kind and loving, and until he got to the point where he realized, okay, I had to take on responsibility for so many people in my life. And he had actually created this illness because he knew it was impossible. It was impossible to take on the responsibility for all the people he wanted to be responsible for. And when he realized this and we worked on it, he became well again. And the pain's gone and he's a completely different person. But you have to get to the point of finding out what is going on. Because sometimes the ego is so tricky that we don't get to that ourselves.
Yeah. 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 Our mind is very tricky. And our culture is also very surface, I guess, surface oriented, in that what you see is what you see, right? If there's an injury in your back, that's it. You just have an injury in your back. It's more of a mechanical issue, right? That we're like cars. I often hear people talk about us like cars. That something's broken and it just needs to be fixed. But yeah, we are much. I mean, I even think just on I've just been trying to spend more time listening to my body, just as far as simple things like when I make a plan with somebody, how does that feel in my body? Do I start to tighten, or is there a softening?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If somebody comes to sit next to me, and I sometimes I get a little
yeah, but we take it on. We're all connected, what they say, I think it's at least 98% of what we think, not only what we think, but also what we feel is not even our own. Yeah. And this is actually, we can use this if there's pain in our body as well. If you ask yourself, is this my pain or who does it belong to? Because I've had people, women, for example, who came with knee pain, and we asked, well, is this your knee pain? Or, because she was talking about her grandmother who had the same knee pain. We found out it wasn't even her pain. And when she realized it was actually taken on from her grandmother, we do it out of love because we want them to feel better. And animals do this also. They take on illness from their owners. Yeah. We were really all connected. I'm talking about cars, even our houses where we live. They are an extension of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So if something is not working in your car, what is it not working in your life? Everything is connected, which is so fascinating, I think.
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
Our home. I know. Yeah. There's so many ways to go, right? I've been dreaming a lot.
Yeah.
And one of my teachers calls the home your psyche, or your mind or your body. And so I find myself in my home looking for things or in conversation with people. I look for my mom a lot
Mm. Yeah.
in my home, or sometimes I'm in her home. But it is, your home is like I mean, I can feel it. It's my container.
Yes.
It's my container. So I am very particular about what's in my home
Hmm.
and how I care for my home and who's
Yeah.
been in this home before and how to make peace with the energies that have been from, the past tenants or owners.
Yeah. So true.
It's so
So true.
interesting. Yeah,
It is so interesting.
we are all connected in so many ways.
Yeah.
And that's one interesting to think about, right? It's the collective, that we are part of the collective, and we are also very individual, and that the nuance between the two, like when are we enmeshed with the collective, like when are we feeling the pain? I mean, I think a lot of us right now are feeling the intensity of the collective, and then there's our own personal challenge with our own beliefs and feelings and
Yes.
physicality. um and yes, what is ours and what isn't ours, or
Yeah.
sometimes I feel that very much connection to all women, right? That I feel this this kind of understanding or pain or empowered from the feminine, right? That
Mm.
there's this quality of the
Yes.
woman, like
Yes. Well,
the
what
strength
I,
and the gift
yeah,
and the struggle.
yeah, exactly. And it's so powerful at present that sometimes I think when something comes up for me, it is just so powerful that I sometimes think, am I just processing this for myself, or am I
Mm.
processing it for more women than for me?
Mm.
Because when we go on this path and this healing path, and become what some people would say light workers or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we are given these things, and sometimes it's not easy. So we need to be careful. Where are my boundaries? Where are my boundaries? I used to have very, very thin boundaries,
Mm.
and it's important for me to know, to listen to my body. What do I need? What do I need right now? Do I need more self-care? Do I need to more space for myself? Do I need someone to hold me? Do I need my sisters? It's just so important to listen. Yeah, because
Yeah.
what I've noticed, even with myself, is when I'm in pain, I put myself into work because I don't want to feel it. And we all have these ways of putting lids onto what's there, not wanting, resisting it, sort of thing. And it just gets worse when you resist it.
Yeah.
What I found anyway, it doesn't get better, it just gets worse. It becomes stronger and stronger, and we're given another experience, something on top of that to make us really look and see what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And there's something that I guess I've been listening to a lot of nervous system work lately. And what I love, because I think when I was younger, I think there was a lot more cathartic healing, right? That needing to turn towards in a big way and feel all of it all at once. And so I really am liking just the idea of getting nourished, getting resourced, like finding something that feels good, finding a place where you feel held, you feel connected, and then bringing a little piece of that in. Because I think that's where, at least in my body, where I would get overwhelmed and I shut down, is because that I don't always remember that, to just connect to something get somebody to support me, or go out into nature, or find my beauty, my bigness, and then bring a piece of that in
Mhm.
and sit with it.
Mhm.
And then when I'm done, like, okay. And then take another little piece in. And I forget that. I feel like I have to chew it all of it at once. Um, and I think that that is something that's been really important for me to remember, so that I don't shut down, so that I can keep returning to what is my goodness, what is my inherent, um, kind of, myself, the beauty of who I am, that can hold this in little bits
Yes.
until I can digest it all, instead of eating the whole cake
Yes.
at once.
Yes.
And especially because it comes up. I mean, my first entry into healing was when I shattered my elbow, and it has been an ongoing healing. It wasn't really about my arm. I mean, it was my left arm. It became about my relationship with my mother, and her mother, and how she was mothered, and how I was mothered, and how I mother, and how I mother myself, and the grief around this kind of fractured relationship. And I love my mother. She's been gone for many years. But in a sense, I felt like I had lost my mother to her own despair and her own grief. And so that healing journey has been, again, these little bits of, I mean, I didn't know how to mother myself fully until I had a kid. And I was like, oh, this is what it feels like. This is what it means. This is the showing up, and the not losing connection, and taking care of myself so that I can show up for somebody else over and
Yes.
over and over again.
Mm. It's beautiful. Yes. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm,
And what I see in myself is since, yeah, I would say since the start of my own spiritual healing, my healing journey, is that I have practically been saying to myself every single day, I claim myself, because I really didn't know who I was.
mm-mm,
I do say this almost every day. I
mm,
think I claim myself
beautiful.
because I think we're scared of our greatness. I think this is our greatest fear. It's not about dying or anything else. It's claiming who we are and the greatness of ourselves. So I think we spend our whole lives keeping ourselves small. And when I first heard that, I thought, that's so true. We spend our lives trying to limit ourselves, trying to keep ourselves small. And every single step I take, there's all this little bit of fear comes up for me. It's like going over my comfort zone again and again and again. It feels so good to do it, to claim myself. And we're not doing anyone any good if we keep ourselves small.
Mm, yeah, no, we're not. And
No.
especially as women, um, and in a clear and clean way, right? I do also have in my dad's wife is there's mental illness there. So there's a bigness or a dominance that comes, needing other people to be smaller, because there's an instability and a fragility and insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, the clear, right, the clear way of getting bigger, right, filling out ourselves in a clear and balanced way, in a connected way,
Yeah.
right, going back to that, connected to our spirituality, connected to our our body, connected to and being able to heal our past, our wounds, the wounds that we carry from ancestors,
Yes.
from past lives, from
And
trauma.
the ones of our ancestors, which we carry also in our DNA.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we're not even aware of, if we don't know the history of, we're going back many, many years. As some say we carry, well, it's known that we carry at least 3 generations, which came before us, but the indigenous people say it's 7 generations. When we think of that, this is hundreds and hundreds of years before us. And what they had, it was such a different time. And there's been so many wars, and there's been so much fear and suppression. Yeah, there's still a lot. We still have quite a way to go, I think, but we are getting there.
We are getting there. At least it's a little more on the surface.
Yes.
People are able to talk about it now.
Yes. Well, what I see is actually there's a lot coming to the surface to be healed.
Yes.
And it has to come up to be seen, to be healed. And I think that's what's happening at present. And it's not pretty sometimes, but it has to be, I think. Yeah.
No, and I love that, because I think that even for our own selves, things come to surface, right? That they come up, and there's something about me, and that's an interesting correlation between kind of the unseen and the seen, or, sometimes I tend to think of spirit as, when I feel most connected, it's very pure and it's very light.
Yes.
It's very loving. And then we come into form, which is a huge distance in a way. And so letting things come to surface, to be talked about, to be felt, to be seen, is really, it's an interesting kind of, I just had that image of it, that it's a journey, and it's a process of coming to surface, and to clarify,
Yes.
to speak it, to feel it,
Mm-hmm.
is clarifying, empowering, just in that it becomes less unknown or scary or locked in.
Yes, I think I know somebody asked me not so long ago, what is the greatest thing about being human? And I answered, it's being in this body. Because I sometimes feel that my body limits me. It's like I am this being who comes into the world and gets this body, and you can feel your body, and it's like it's a container. But I'm not just in, I have an energy field outside my body. I'm bigger than my body. And some people say the soul is in the body, and some people say the body is in the soul. I don't know. I just know that I am not limited to this body, but I sometimes feel that it constricts me. I'm a body type, I'm definitely a body type from the Enneagram. And I don't know what it's like to be a mind person. I'm a very curious person, but I know that my body is important to me. I have to feel inside of myself. And there was a long time where I didn't even feel embodied in my body. It was like I was somewhere else, and I could leave my body so quickly. I just had to close my eyes, and then I wasn't there anymore. I think I probably spent the first 40 years of my life like that, to tell you the truth. Well, I grew up in a very conflicted area in the north of Ireland, where there was a lot of terror, and I saw a lot of horrible things. And life had to continue, but I learned sort of to be able to to leave my body to deal with it in a certain way, which a lot of us probably do.
I would say a lot of people do.
Yeah, I
I'd
think
say
so.
that most people, even in yoga classes, I've been teaching for a long time, and I've always had that feeling that most of these people don't have the experience of being in their body, which is why I've changed how I teach. But and I also was not in my body, and there are times I'm still not in my body, but I have learned how to find pleasure in it, even if it's just the the breeze on my skin, or I love to roll around on the floor a lot because I love the feeling of the pressure on my body. I love to dance because I love just that feeling fluid, water,
Hmm.
sound. I love sound. Like I feel that in my body.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's just a
yes. I think it's so important to learn to be in your body.
mhm.
It's become very important for me at my work to really listen to the body and what the body is trying to tell us, and to connect more with the body, because we can connect with our body. And it's important that we do this to be able to know what our body is trying to tell us, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think to me it's important. To me, it's actually where I can connect to my intuition, where I can get information that feels much more grounded and um, pure when I'm in my body. And I've had friends who've had incredible trauma and not been in their bodies and can be very psychic in some ways. Um, but there still is that disconnection, or it just feels a little different. It doesn't always land the same way.
Yeah.
There's something about this time especially, that our bodies are needed. Our bodies are, I grew up in the yoga world where you were supposed to transcend our body and leave our body and become
Mm.
enlightened. And um
Yeah.
and as a woman, I was always like, but we need our body. I need my body. um it didn't feel right to leave my body. I just felt checked out and kind of vacated and more disconnected and more anxious. The more I had that belief system. But anchoring in my body allowed me to feel not just my feelings in my body, but it also allowed me to connect to the spiritual sense of myself, or that unseen part of myself, in a much deeper way.
Yeah. Yeah, I can completely relate to that. And we're not taught how to completely connect with our bodies. It's in school, we're taught to use our minds, which we need also. We have these brains. Sometimes it feels like we're like brains walking around on legs. You know, we, it's so important, especially for women, I believe, to connect with their bodies, because we have so much wisdom in our body. Our bodies cannot lie. They can't. Our bodies, when we connect, all the truth that we need is in our body. Our body knows exactly what it needs to heal. Our bodies know exactly what it wants to wear, what it wants to eat, what it needs. The colors that it needs, also very important, because it goes through our skin. These colors that we wear, and some colors make us feel heavy and some make us feel light. And yeah, it is so important to listen to our body.
Right. And we can, and I think that we can when we're anchored. Even things like, um yes, just like you said, what to eat, and not like I'm craving chocolate, but like, oh, I don't feel right. What does my body need?
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
the invitation and the wisdom is really there.
Yes.
It is. Again, it's just that I think the clarity, and um being grounded enough to be able to distinguish what is anxiousness, right? Putting the lid
Mm.
on things. What's the,
Mhm.
I'm going to eat a bunch of cake and check out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Or what is the, I don't feel right. I need a green soup. And wow, that's clarifying, or that feels really anchoring to me, or cleans my head,
Mhm.
clears
Mhm.
out my head, my brain fog.
Exactly. And our bodies are the containers for our emotions, which we feel in the body. And
Yeah.
some emotions we don't want to feel. So maybe we eat chocolate or do something else, just to not feel. We have so many different things we can do not to feel.
I know. What are my favorites? Movies. Although
Netflix.
I often pick movies that make me cry or feel. It just feels safer. It's so interesting. Or what else do I do? Work, definitely.
Yeah, me too.
Work.
Do that.
Get on the computer and work.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many things we do. It's a very individual journey. Each person is so, I find it so fascinating. Our bodies and our minds and all the things that seem to work until they don't work. And it's first of all, when it doesn't work, when our bodies don't function as we think they should, that we first notice what's wrong. There's something wrong here. But it depends what we do then, I mean, I broke my spine. I had a riding accident. I broke my spine. It threw me out of my life for 1 whole year. And I was going through quite a bad phase in my life at that time, in relationships. And they didn't operate on me. I got a corset from my hips right up to my neck. When I got out of bed, I had to wear this thing. And someone said to me, "It looks as if you're being held together." And this was completely true, because I was actually falling apart. And I carry my anger in my back, and I didn't want to feel it. Yeah. And then, of course, I was put out of my life and had to lie in bed and watch what was going on around me and feel what I was feeling. And I actually thought that I was going to go crazy. I mean, it was such a difficult time for me. But yes, we are given these things to grow and to learn. And sometimes it's not easy, but our bodies cannot lie.
No. And healing is, I guess healing is, as the container is, I guess I think of, just as you're speaking, that like my sense is that you, even though there was anger that you didn't want to feel, there was a part of you that was still held in this container, right? That you still had the awareness of wanting to be held together, or needing it in order to heal,
Yes.
not just physically, but with the
Yes,
relationship. And I love that because I feel it.
And to tell you the truth, up until this time when I had my accident, I used to think it had to be a quick fix. I had to fix everything quickly. And it took me a whole year to get through it. And I realized there's so many different pieces that come up and need to be, we need to look at them. And I see this also in my clients that, if I work with women who have chronic illness or life-threatening illness, and there's so many different pieces to it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a push from the universe to tell us, well, there's maybe something you're not aligned with, which I wasn't aligned with what I was doing at that time. There's something you really need to take a look at, and maybe there's emotions there, and maybe there's beliefs there, and a lot of different things that need taking a look at.
But it took time. And sounds like a willingness on your part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
And support. Did you have Support. Yeah.
We need support. We all need support going through something like that. I mean, I think this is another thing, to ask for support. I used to never be able to ask for help. And I had to admit I need help. And I know there's so many of us, I'd say I know a lot of strong women who sometimes don't allow themselves to have the support that they need. I think it's so important to realize there comes a point in your life when you need the support. And I know also when I commit to being supported, and at any time in my life that I need it, I can just fall into it, and it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, and I think that women are capable, and that sometimes we have to teach each other how to support. And sometimes there are people who just, professionals who are already skilled at supporting. But I do think, I love what you're saying, because I do think that as women, there is an expectation to hold the family and hold community and hold other, and that we haven't always learned how to hold each other, and that is such a gift, to be held and to learn how to hold.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say it's one of the greatest gifts that I have discovered in my life, is being able to hold space for another woman.
And be held.
And be held.
Yeah, I mean, and there is a skill to it, right? Because supporting somebody in a way that allows them to flourish and heal and find themselves, right? That we all need that.
We do.
Yeah. Yay. So I'm just looking at the time. What a beautiful conversation. And is there any last kind of gem that's arising?
Any last gem? I would say what wants to be said. I'd just like to say it's important to stay open. No matter what's going on in your life, just to stay open. Open yourself for other people, open yourself to what's going on in your own life, in your body, or whatever's going on in your mind, and just take a look at it. It's always there for a reason.
Yeah, I love that. I guess you also made me think about just trusting, right? Trusting the process, and that, again, when things get challenging, get more support, however that shows up. And that being able to be the witness, right? Being able to step back, so that when the mind gets loud, or when the resistance gets loud, or the fear gets loud, that there is a little bit of just that ability to step back and watch, right? And sometimes even noticing that there's a part of you watching gives you access to just having some space, that maybe that is just like a child that needs to vent, or a part of you that is really anxious, but that's not all of you, that there's this other part of you that's watching, and just turning back to that. And that healing really is possible, that I think that part of our journey, that we're not really put here just to struggle, that we really are here. Even though sometimes it feels like it, that we're really here to grow and to heal and to thrive, and that part of our challenges are moving with them, dancing with them, moving through them, making peace with them, learning, growing from them.
Yeah. Life is a dance.
Life is a dance.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes really challenging and sometimes really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. I could continue on and on. Maybe we'll do it again, but thank you so much for just your gentle and wise nature. That
Thank you
was,
so much for this beautiful conversation. It's been such a pleasure.
yeah. And I will put links below to if you want to get in touch with either of us and see how we work and how we support. And I